Tonight we're taking a closer look at the status of the $1.25 billion in CARES Act money for Montana from funds already allocated to money out the door. We're breaking it down.
Plus, the governor's mask mandate adopted by the Cascade County Health Department, what it means and how it will help noncompliance.
One Great Falls woman is helping the homeless while bringing in big bucks for the community. I'm Keely Van Mittendorp, and I'll have that story next.
From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 530 News.
Some heavy rain over Great Falls not too long ago. Thanks for making MTN a part of your evening. I'm Tim McGonigal.
And I'm Hallie Schwinnard. First tonight, meteorologist Elizabeth Copeland has a first look at our forecast.
Well, clouds are still filling in across Helena as storms move through earlier this afternoon. Our Opportunity Bank iCam still showing those clouds and some raindrops on the lens there, especially some raindrops left over on the streets. But the big deal, especially across Helena and behind the storm system, is how much cooler it is than it was this time yesterday. We are a good almost 30 degrees cooler right now than it was this time yesterday. So very cool air is settling in behind that cold front, which is sparking some of those storms just off to our east, which we'll talk about here shortly. But tonight, we're still going to see temperatures stay relatively warm, even though it is much cooler this afternoon. Cloud cover keeps us warm overnight after those storms move out. So we'll be tracking more on those storms and where they're headed, and then more sunshine returns to the forecast. We track cooler weather sticking around and more of those clearing skies coming up in our extended forecast.
The U.S. surpassed 4 million officially recorded COVID-19 cases. A quarter of that count came in the last 15 days. Let's get you a look at our numbers tonight as we push the 3,000 mark. There are 2 more deaths to report, including a man in his 70s. He died Wednesday at Canyon Creek Memory Care in Billings, the 14th person to die as a result of coronavirus at that facility. Right now, more than 50 Montanans are hospitalized with the disease.
The number of coronavirus infections in the U.S. could be much higher than originally estimated. A new study estimates that infections actually could be between 2 and 13 times higher than what's been reported. Researchers looked at blood samples from 16,000 people. The samples tested for other things like cholesterol, but this group of researchers looked at antibodies, which would indicate if someone previously had COVID-19. Researchers say many people had these antibodies and did not represent the number of reported cases. Cascade County County Health Departments adopted the governor's mask mandate. This means the department will now be responsible for countywide mask enforcement, as well as the call center's role for reports of noncompliance. The mask mandate requires face coverings in all counties with 4 or more active cases of COVID-19 to slow the spread of the virus. We spoke with Health Officer Tricia Gardner, who hopes this mask mandate will show people how serious this is.
As I've said before, this is one of those real simple things that everybody can do, and I hope that everyone sees the seriousness of this virus and plays their part in being able to help keep our community safe and healthy.
If you have a doctor's note saying you can't have a mask, you can show these to business owners.
So far, the state has decided where 2/3 of the $1.25 billion they've received from the CARES Act funding will go. MTN's chief political reporter Mike Dennison takes a closer look at the status and intended purpose of that money.
Governor Bullock said Wednesday his administration has allocated $822 million of Montana's federal CARES Act money to mitigate impacts of the coronavirus pandemic. But only about $160 million of that money has actually been distributed. The governor said 2 reasons for this gap is because the state is awaiting more information from 900 grant applicants and has had to weed out another 750 duplicate applications.
Department of Commerce moved quickly through thousands of applications while still maintaining strong verifications and internal controls, and is completely caught up with the deluge of applications.
So where's the money going? About $300 million is for local governments to cover COVID-19 related costs, but only $32 million is out the door so far. Yet the Bullock administration said that money is meant for the entire year and is being distributed in stages. Another $125 million is set aside for loan deferments for businesses hit by the pandemic. There's also $75 million for schools to help them with reopening costs, $75 million for state government, and $40 million for mental health and substance abuse programs. These totals don't include $61 million in business stabilization grants that have already been handed out to thousands of small businesses. Republican Senate Majority Leader Fred Thomas of Stevensville says he's not impressed. He says the Bullock administration has had this money since April and should have distributed $400 to $500 million by now. As he put it, this money is not for Christmas. It's meant for the current right now economy. Yet Bullock says the money is meant to last for the entire year, and he wants the state to be able to respond to needs as they arise.
Because we know that things have rapidly changed throughout the pandemic, and it's clear that the virus is still presenting significant challenges to our health and safety, as well as our economic stability. We have to ensure that we have the resources to weather the next 6 months.
Reporting from Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
One Great Falls organization is feeding the hungry while the pandemic continues, but that's not all they're doing. MTN's Keely Van Mittendorp has more.
Water, chicken, yes.
Homeless residents in Great Falls say they have someone watching over them.
She is an angel. She doesn't have to do this for us.
Carly Tuss is the director of homeless services at St. Vincent de Paul's Angel Center.
Thank you and God bless, Carly.
Since the start of the pandemic, she's found a new way to feed the hungry in Great Falls by serving lunches each week in the same parking lot.
We always have fruit. We always have sandwiches. We always have sweets.
No sweets. No sweets. No sweets. All right, there you go. Thank you. You're very welcome.
They're absolutely gracious, appreciative, share their stories.
We have to eat, no matter what. Carly's a good woman.
Tuss says this simple act of providing lunch not only gives people a free meal, it also brings valuable dollars into the community. Volunteers have registered over 100 people for the census through the food truck. Did she help you sign up for the census?
Yes.
Tuss says she's seen new faces who have signed up for the 2020 census.
By being out here, it's expanded my ability to get people counted.
She believes federal funding gained through their efforts helps programs that get homeless and at-risk individuals back on their feet.
Thank you, Miss Carly.
But a fresh start first begins with mercy and a meal.
Miss Carly is the one that feeds us. She does all the work for us. Love her like my mother.
In Great Falls, Keely Van Mittendorp, MTN News.
St. Vincent de Paul's Angel Center is open Mondays through Wednesdays by appointment only. We have more details on our website.
For our viewers that watch us on Dish Network, we have a programming note for you. Our parent companies Scripps and Dish are in contract negotiations. This station, KRTV, may go dark for customers tomorrow if they don't reach an agreement by the contract deadline. Since launching its first television station in 1947, Scripps has never before experienced a station blackout with any cable or satellite operator. In a statement, Scripps says, after 5 months of negotiating with Dish and multiple contract extensions, Scripps and Dish Network may be reaching an impasse. We hope Dish will understand the need for Scripps viewers to receive its local television stations, given the pressing news in our communities right now, including a global pandemic, discussions around social unrest, the active political year, and the severe weather season. This dispute is about the distribution of our broadcast signal so we can keep our local audiences safe and informed. If you can't access KRTV tomorrow night on Dish, please go to our website, krtv.com, for more information.
Coming up, the story of how one Vietnam veteran campaigned to make these flags fly.
Welcome. From Montana's news leader, you're watching the MTN 530 News.
Independence Day has come and gone, but the spirit of patriotism hasn't left Great Falls. Today, one Great Falls veteran smiles proudly after countless hours spent fundraising for the flags of Highland Cemetery comes to an end.
Last year, Jim Porter actually approached us, and at the time he was looking for flagpoles. So we partnered with Shields and we did a big raffle at our March banquet, and last year we donated $1,500 to the flagpoles. So this year he approached us asking if we would help to buy flags for the cemetery here.
And help they did. Great Falls Safari Club International chapter donated $1,500 to the cause, enough money for Jim Porter to purchase flags 3 times over. That will allow him to change them out when they suffer regular wear and tear due to harsh winds. Porter has wanted to restore the flags at Highland Cemetery for years out of respect for the men and women of service who are laid to rest there that died defending the flag. Porter says seeing the new flags flying after years of campaigning was well worth the effort.
I'm very, very proud of all of the work and all of the people that donated, and I know I can speak for the veterans that are buried here and the families of the veterans that are buried here when I say thank you very much from the bottom of my heart.
If you're interested in joining SCI or in donating to the cemetery Flags Flying in the future, you can find more information on our website.
The Blackfeet Nation is working to fight hunger on their reservation. Food groups met and developed food resources for those in need. They brought together several different organizations with a similar goal. Those organizations include the Fast Blackfeet Food Pantry, Blackfeet Food Distribution Program, Pecani Lodge Health Institute. Danielle Antelope with the Food Pantry says this is a critical time to help with feeding those in need.
Right now during COVID, we have so many kids that are home, and then those parents are having to cover all the meals every day, all day. So we understand that the food is a real need right now, and living in a food desert where food costs more, you're less likely to buy the healthy foods. So through our Oyo Food Pantry, we provide foods from the food group so that we can help with balanced meals in the homes that come to our food pantry.
They are asking families to reach out if they need help. For those times and dates, you can check our website for more details.
Storms move out tonight, leaving us partly cloudy through the overnight hours. Tomorrow, sunshine returns, but we talk about cooler weather sticking around coming up next.
Stormtracker Weather starts now with Chief Meteorologist Elizabeth Copeland.
All right, welcome back on this Thursday evening. Thanks again for letting me fill in tonight for North Central and Northeast Montana. Very active afternoon, evening, and we're still tracking that active weather now. So let's go ahead and dive into this evening's forecast. So quite a bit of that activity is along a line, basically just south of Cut Bank through Great Falls and down through Bozeman. This is the first line that we're watching that's made its way already through Helena and now just passing Great Falls, heading toward the northeast. This system has already had a history of producing severe thunderstorms. So of course we're keeping an eye on that for you tonight as we track the possibility for areas that include that are going to include storms that have hail, gusty wind, and of course that frequent lightning, which is already showing up here on the Doppler network. So behind those storms, a lot more of the clear air is moving in, but we're still watching a few of those storms pop up just across I-15 and southwest Montana. Those will start to skirt closer to Lewistown a little later this evening after this first line of storms moves through. So 2 areas we're tracking tonight, not only this line of storms, which is under a severe thunderstorm watch, those areas that storm continues moving through, but also the northeast corner, right just east of Glasgow, basically very northeast corner here, has a possibility of some storms later tonight that could produce those same things. Those large hail, very gusty wind, frequent lightning, heavy downpours, all possible as these storms continue tracking up to the northeast. So just a couple minutes ago, a severe thunderstorm warning was in effect for Great Falls. Now we're seeing those thunderstorms move off to the northeast. We're going to see a lot of that heavy rain behind some of these stronger storms as well. So just because the storms have passed, at least the stronger parts of the storms with the wind and hail, does not mean that it's safe outside, because we do have that lightning still striking back behind some of these thunderstorms. And of course, that heavy rain is going to put a damper on those evening plans, especially outdoors. So we're watching this again, moving off to the north and east, heading to Havre in about 2 or 3 hours or so. We do have a little cell just north of Glasgow producing some very heavy rain as well. Some small hail, keeping an eye on some of those storms that start to enter again this area that has a potential of producing some of those stronger to severe storms later this evening. The storm just north of Glendive actually was just warned shortly ago. So conditions in this environment are very able to produce stronger storms this evening. So temperatures are also much cooler this evening. That was the graphic didn't decide to show our temperatures, but you can see just by the colors here, we do have a lot more of the cooler air because of those thunderstorms moving in, and it's about 30 degrees cooler right now than it was this time yesterday in Great Falls after that severe storm has passed. Some rain still on the US Bank ICAM there, where temperatures are about 82 degrees behind that storm. It's going to start dropping quickly though. It's going to feel more like 63, and actual temperatures are going to drop to those 70s and 60s overnight as well. And again, gusty conditions, about 20-mile-per-hour gusts behind some of these storms as well. So that line of storms that we were watching right through Great Falls is going to continue pushing off to the northeast later on this evening. But behind all of this, much drier air is moving in. As you wake up on Friday morning, there'll be a few clouds across the high line. Otherwise, mostly clear skies tonight. And then we stay clear through Friday as well, with a few pop-up showers here and there through the afternoon, but drier, warmer air is on the way. Fire dangers back in the forecast. A fire weather watch is in effect for the high line and these lighter tan areas on Friday. So for our 7-day forecast, still tracking the possibility of those thunderstorms tonight, clearing out for tomorrow in the 80s as we head into Sunday. Capital City will see the 90s return near forecast for Monday afternoon after a cooler weekend is in store.
Ahead, it's Media Day for Big Sky Conference football. We'll zoom in on the virtual details after the break.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching the MTN 530 News.
The future of the college football season remains up in the air amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, but several leagues are still moving forward with media kickoff events.
MTN's Tom Wiley has the latest on the Cats and Grizz in the Big Sky Conference.
Thursday's Big Sky kickoff event started like normal, albeit virtually, with the unveiling of the preseason coaches and media polls. League coaches spent time talking about their teams, but eventually conversation shifted towards the elephant in the room, the effect that COVID-19 has had on programs and the uncertainty of the upcoming season.
But I think this has been a huge challenge just in terms of keeping a kind of that grasp of what your guys need at that moment when you're not around them. And our primary job is to make sure that we meet the basic needs of our student athletes, food, shelter, and safety. And we want to do that. And it's way easier to do when we're around them and can connect with them. So I think we've all gotten creative, but I think that's probably been the most challenging part of this time.
What I have seen is the separation they've experienced over the last few months, particularly this spring, has been disastrous for their mental health. It's just been awful for them. They're suffering mentally from it, and we need to get them back together.
Both Jeff Choate and Bobby Houck have advocated for masks, and they both hope it can lead to an on-time start in the fall. The Cats and the Grizz want to play football. More importantly, they want a clear plan.
We just got to quit zigzagging. Whatever it is, stick to it. Get on the railroad track and go. This is a real virus. It's an airborne deal. It's not going to be contained. People are going to get sick. We've got to do what we can to mitigate it. We've got to make a decision whether we're going to do this or not.
Coronavirus isn't going anyplace, and half measures don't work. So my opinion is we either go or we don't go. We shut the country down, and which I don't think is feasible financially, personally. And then the other side of it is we go or we don't go. If you're uncomfortable, don't play, don't coach, don't go to the games. If you're comfortable, go. Let's roll.
Tom Wiley, MTN News.
Cats and Grizz were picked to finish third and second, respectively, in both preseason polls released today. For more in-depth stories on each team, visit montanasports.com.
This afternoon, the Lodge Senior Living Center in Great Falls hosted a free drive-through hot dog lunch for police and firefighters. The promotion, called Guns and Hoses, was a company-wide event from Mosaic Management, which owns the Lodge and several properties in Oregon. The executive director, Roy Garcia, calls this a success, handing out 85 meals.
I did not anticipate so many people showing up, considering that really just in the last 2 weeks was when we started getting out there and notifying our first responders, our police departments, fire departments, So I am happy that it turned out the way that it did. Showing them that they're appreciated. They work very hard, long hours. They get to go home probably sometimes and then have to leave 10 minutes later for an emergency. So I think that showing them how much they are appreciated throughout the senior living communities and in the industry as a whole is what's most important.
Certainly appreciated. Thank you very much. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Staying cooler after those storms move through tonight through the weekend. We're only in the mid to low 80s, and then we're tracking those 90s back in the forecast for next week. The only chances of storms besides this evening for the capital city will return a little later next week on Tuesday as we hit 92 degrees.
Well, finally, here's an interesting approach. Police dogs in Chile now have a new task. They're learning how to sniff out coronavirus in humans.
This is the latest effort in the South American country to reopen businesses. Right now, 3 golden retrievers and 1 lab are being taught. Their goal is to be trained by September. Oh, cool. What can't dogs do?
It's cool. Yeah, further proof that dogs are awesome.
I mean, they can sniff out bombs, they sniff out drugs, now they're sniffing out coronavirus.
That's right. I think we ought to put a dog in charge.
Hey, I've got 3 of them at home, so take your pick.
I've got 2, and they rule the roost. All right. Well, that's all the time we have. Hope to see you back here tonight at 10.
Have a great night.